in self-discovery, it's almost like this stillness, this gradual process, you taking stock of how you developing and saying, this is the path I'm taking. Do I really like this? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a minute since I posted the video. The pandemic caught up with everyone and I wasn't exempted. I mean, I had to isolate, I had to think of surviving, I had to think of basic needs that everyone is thinking of right now. So, before we go any further, please subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe below. Also follow me on my Instagram, Twitter, and on my blog where I share my other thoughts about life. So guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about self-discovery. Someone had sent me a message to tell them how I thought about self-discovery and how I discovered myself. As a Christian, the first thing I would always say, or the first thing that comes to my mind, is how we are taught in church about how we find ourselves after we find Christ, right? And because God knows the thoughts and the plans He has for us, and He knew us before we were formed, we have to go back to Him to understand what vision He has for our lives. So one of the first things I tell people about self-discovery as a Christian is going back to God's original plan for you. Someone who grew up in the church, the first thing they tell you is to find your self-purpose, you have to find God. And I actually think that that's true, because somewhere in Jeremiah it says that God, before He there's a way Jeremiah puts it. Jeremiah puts it as, before we were formed He knew us. And if God knew us before we were formed, it means He understands what life purpose we are here to accomplish or achieve. And the only way we as mortals can understand that is going back to Him and asking the question of what, to receive clarity on what we are supposed to do with our lives, right? And the second thing is, you have to actually get lost before you get found. So most of us grow up, finding ourselves in different paths, finding ourselves doing different things. Some of us become delinquents, some of us just get lost, and we get to that point in our life where we don't get satisfaction from being on a very crooked path, or on a path that isn't straight, or on a path that has different branches or different roads, and we just want to centralize and focus on one thing. And so the second part to self-discovery is, you probably may have to get lost for you to be able to understand, what's that thing that brings you joy, what's that thing you need to do, what's that inspiration that you've gotten from being lost, and then finding your way back. The other way to self-discovery is actually watching people. Sometimes people get mentors who, from their experiences, we can learn from and understand what vision and purpose we have for our lives. So one way of also self-discovery is, finding mentors, people who can help us navigate a path. Mentors who actually, you could trust. Mentors who would give you an idea of what path you should take. Or mentors who have a similar path or experience as you, or you're going through, and who you could actually reach out to and say, this is what I'm going through, can you put me through this? And so that is also one way of self-discovery. And sometimes self-discovery may just be us, doing so many things, helping people, being of service, and finding out at the end of the day that what we do as a service to others is actually what brings us fulfillment, is actually what we love to do. And I've actually, in this current time when there's a lot of social media for us to reach out to communities, we actually see that it's easier for people to find their niche, or discover themselves, because they are out there doing the work that they need to do, reaching out to people, being of service to people. And with that service, they start to find their own self. I think the other thing I would say about self-discovery is you have to give it time. There is no like fast way about finding yourself. Sometimes in uncertain moments like this, like uncertain moments where we've been forced into being uncertain by unforeseen circumstances, that can be one way we can find ourselves, because you are now in a quiet space, you're away from the noise, and it's just time for you to like retrospectively look at yourself and say, you know, what do I have to do differently? How can I navigate my life moving forward? What different steps should I do to finding yourself? And one thing I always say, or I advise people, is that you cannot really discover yourself when there is a lot of noise and cluster. Noise metaphorically, and noise as assumed. You know, you can't find or self-discover yourself when there's a lot of things encumbering your mind. You're, you know, busy doing things. In self-discovery, it's almost like this stillness, this gradual process, you taking stock of how you're developing and saying, you know, this is the path I'm taking. Do I really like this? Like evaluating yourself with each path and saying, is this the path that I'm going to be faithful to? Is this the path that I accept? And if that is not it, taking up another, you know, path that you feel or believe would lead you to fulfillment. And which brings me to the other point, that once people self-discover themselves or get to that point of self-discovery, they find contentment, they find fulfillment, they find ease in doing that thing. They're not pressured, they don't feel like they're being forced into that, you know, path. In one other way of self-discovery, I believe or would want to say is, are you of service to people? Are you being of service? At the end of the day, your gifts is there to serve people, and is your gift serving people? Is your part of self-discovery serving people? And I hope I'm able to help you guys understand a little bit to self-discovery, to that person who asked this question. I hope you're able to discover yourself. These days a lot of things are, you know, blanketed in discovery. Discovering your passion, discovering your career path, discovering your sexuality, discovering Christ, discovering spirituality. Just a lot of things people have to discover about themselves. But whatever you're doing, always take stock, reevaluate yourself at every given point, and ask yourself, does this person who I've discovered bring me joy, bring me contentment, makes me happy? Is this being of service to people? And I hope you find joy and light and be the best person you can be always and at all times through your discovery process. See you guys next time. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to follow and send me your recommendations of topics you want me to tackle. I hope you guys are doing okay. It's a really challenging time for a lot of people. We have the pandemic. We also have people losing jobs, losing loved ones in the process. And I do hope that at this time you find a community who cares for you, who is attentive to you, who would help you find solutions, even if it's in the minutest things to your problems. Bye guys.